review of the minutes. What is the pleasure of the board?
Chairman, I make a motion that we accept the minutes from the January 28th Selectmen meeting.
Is there a second?
A second.
Motion's been made and seconded to accept the minutes from the January 28th meeting, or actually February 2nd, because I believe that was a snow.
February 2nd and the 28th.
Yeah, we need to do both, February,
Yeah,
January.
for both
I'm
meetings.
sorry, okay,
Apologize, Mr. Chairman.
okay. Is there a
I'll second to both
second?
meetings, yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. Next up, we have a Community Development Action Grant public hearing, and our Economic Director, Donnie Lowe, is here. Donnie, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Lowe?
How are you? If I could just pass this, just a sign-up sheet to note all the people that were present for the hearing. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I believe you all have in your packets, I provided a summary of the scope and estimated cost of this project, but for the people at home and for the people who are in attendance this evening, I'll just do a very quick summary. We propose within this Community Development Action Grant to replace approximately 5,600 linear feet of water line on the following streets. We would replace it on Water Street between High and Main, on Church Street between High and Main, on Union Street between High and Main, on Water Street from approximately Pierce Place down to Water Street, and on School Street from Church Street to Pleasant Street. So it's pretty close to a mile's worth, mile of linear, 1 linear mile of pipe, I guess is one way that you would look at it. We would also propose to replace or repair the following sidewalks. The one side of Church Street, the southerly side of Church Street between the paper store and School Street, the northerly side of Water Street in front of Prescott Mills, with also a handicap curb cut to be added there for the, obviously for the disabled and elderly people that live in Prescott Mills, and also High Street on both sides from approximately Pierce Place down to Batista Court. I feel very strongly about that section. In particular, as I've said many times, I believe that we need to do more for the merchants on that end of the street. The businesses in that portion of High Street are certainly as every bit as important as the businesses up on this end of High Street are. And we weren't able to get to them, the town was not able to get to them in the previous streetscape project. This is not a full-blown streetscape project by any stretch of the imagination. It's not to replace trees, lighting, and so forth. This is strictly infrastructure. And as you see, it's primarily water lines. But we do propose to do some sidewalks. I believe to create a really inviting downtown area, you have to make it comfortable for pedestrians. And you can't, thank you. And you can't do that with sidewalks that are badly cracked, uneven, lifting, trip hazards, and generally unsafe. And some of these areas are fairly unsafe, especially from a trip hazard perspective. I would also like to say that I've worked very closely with the DPW Superintendent Chris McGowan on this, and this project wouldn't be ready to go forward without his help. He's been an invaluable resource. He spent a lot of time with me. He's dropped things that he was in the middle of to help me on things. He's walked the entire site with me to personally look at the sidewalk issues and so forth. And as you'll see in the packet, he has offered to apply some Chapter 90 money towards the replacement of sidewalks. And obviously that was not an easy decision for him to make. Obviously we have a lot of roads that need to be done as well. But for the approximately, I shouldn't approximate, I have the figure here, for the $32,000 roughly that it is, $32,670, that will look very, the state will look very favorably, I believe, upon that, because what we're saying is we will take the town's Chapter 90 money and do 2 sections of sidewalk, the Water Street and the Church Street sections. And we're asking the state for money to do the High Street section right in the downtown area. So if you look at the ratio of what we're asking for, out of $777,000 roughly, we're asking the state for about $58,000 worth of sidewalk money and over $700,000 of water line infrastructure. So I think that's a percentage that they would look favorably on too. In the past, when we wrote this 2 years ago, and it was a larger scope, it was probably about 60% water line, 40% sidewalk. And back then, the application was viewed very favorably. It was just that funding had run out before they could get to Clinton. There's not nearly as much funding available now. There will be many communities applying for this grant. It's going to be a scored grant for the first time. It's never been a scored grant application before, so it's completely competitive against the other communities. You try to find something that will give your community an edge, and I think one of the things that gives us an edge is that we are willing to apply a respectable amount of money towards this. I think it will make the town look very positive. The other thing I would like to remind the board of, within this grant, we also have to demonstrate private investment within the target area. And the private investment in the target area is predominantly NIPRO. NIPRO obviously sits on the corner of Union and School Streets. We're going to be doing a lot of water line work. As we know, we've had some serious water line breaks on Union Street, impacted Union Street in general very badly, impacted NIPRO very badly a couple of years ago. One of the things that the town did that also shows the town is very supportive of economic development is the TIF that was granted for the new NIPRO mold building. I believe, again, the state should look very favorably upon that. The town has made a very significant investment in its economic development, and I think this is a type of money that towns need to promote the downtown area, to make it attractive for businesses to want to stay there and to come here, and to make it attractive for people to want to go downtown and frequent the establishments on all portions of High Street. And I believe this is what that will accomplish. So having said that as an overview, I would be extremely happy to entertain any questions that the board may have.
Any of the board members have any questions for our economic director?
Tony, I'd just like to thank you. I think for us to basically do close to $1 million worth of infrastructure work in the town for 10 cents on the dollar, and that's approximately where it comes in, is obviously wise money spent. And I wish you luck with the grant. I know it's going to be competitive, and it's no guarantee that we get this, but I think it shows good initiative. I appreciate the DPW superintendent's cooperative work with you as well. But again, to get 90 cents or close to 90 cents on the dollar in compensation back from the state to improve our sidewalks, and as importantly, really the under the street top infrastructure, which really does have to get done prior to us, putting the appropriate pavement on top, is smart money. So.
Well, certainly what we're demonstrating to the state, and again, one of the things that I need to include in the grant is that the additional $3 million in borrowing that we've done recently towards a water filtration plant. And we're going to have a state-of-the-art water filtration plant online by the end of June in the target area that we're looking at. Many of these pipes, I have a picture of one that was taken during a break. It's the date of 1881 is stamped on the pipe. So we've got this water that's going to be flowing through 124-year-old pipes. I think it makes a very compelling case for us to be able to do this work.
It's going to be excellent to update those water lines, also to clean up that area of that downtown and that section of Water Street. So I'm really looking forward to that. I hope we get the money. And I'd just like to thank you again, Donnie, as well as Chris McGowan, all the hard work you guys have been doing. Thank you. Steve?
I just have one question, point of clarification for Chapter 90 money, the sidewalks, church and water. As soon as the church going down, like towards the item, that part of it?
It would be on the opposite side. It would be on the old-timer tattoo parlor, paper store side.
Okay, and the water should come down by the post office, I'm assuming?
We haven't included the post office section in the
So what is it, when you say Water Street, what do you mean?
Water Street between High and Main, down in front of Prescott Mills.
Okay, that's what I'm. great. Thank you.
Any other questions for our Community Economic Director? Donnie, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we,
Mr. Elwood, excuse me, this is a public hearing, Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry.
I believe it would be appropriate for you to open up the floor if there were any comments that any of
I'll
the
open it
attendees may-
up if anyone would like to speak in favor of this grant. Yes, Mr.
I think we should go ahead and do what Mr. Ross said. I think that it's in the right track and it will be good for the town.
Can you just state your name and address for...
Esteban Mendoza, 9104 Pastor Green, Tomas.
Thank you, Mr. Mendoza. I'll close that part of the hearing, and then I will open it up for anyone who would like to speak against this public grant. There being nobody, I'll close the hearing. What is the motion of the board?
I'd like to make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that we approve the proposed CDAG grant application that the Director of Economic Development has proposed for us tonight.
Motion been made.
Mr. Chairman.
Motion's been made and seconded to accept the CDAG grant application. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Mr.
Tony.
Chairman.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you, Don.
I do have many sheets of paper that need to be signed by the chairman. I can leave them here.
Yep, that's perfect. I'll
Okay, great.
sign them right away.
Thanks, Don.
Anything that's taboo would be the chairman, anything should be all over the council. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Donnie. Okay, next up, we have the water filtration facility monthly report. Welcome, Chris, Steve.
Hi, good evening.
Mike.
Good evening, gentlemen.
You're on.
Okay, I guess we'll start with our usual work progress here. We're pleased to be back and reporting good progress over the past month. The last time I was here, we mentioned that our excavation contractor, UEL, had been working up at the North Dike on the finished water lines. They've also done some additional piping down at the plant. They've recently tested all that stuff, and it's all up to snuff and ready to go. We've installed the telephone conduits underground this past month, and the electrician has received and installed the VFDs. The VFD is a variable frequency drive which allows the pumps to run at a varying frequencies for different volumes. There are 6 of those. 3 of them have been installed in the plant. 3 have been moved up to the dike. They have not been installed, but they're set in place. So electrical is ongoing. As far as the connection of the power from the road to the plant, we've had recent contact with the power company, and Friday, we're going to be installing bollards in front of the transformer location, and we could see the transformer come in as soon as next week. The underground conduits are ready to pull in the main cables. Once that transformer is in, the main cables are in, we can energize the plant with permanent power. So we're hoping to have that hopefully within, say, the next 2 weeks or so. Anybody who's driven by the site may have noticed that the glass is in, all but 2 of the windows. The glazing has been put in, the aluminum frames and everything else is done. The 2 windows that are not done, the glass was delivered improperly. It has a special finish on the back to hide the blockwork behind it. Our mason is finishing up. He's cleaning up the walls inside and preparing for paint. Our painter is scheduled to be on site on Monday, and we'll start painting the interior of the filter room and getting that all squared away so we can continue on. The general contractor has been moving right ahead with the process piping. There's stainless steel piping below the floors as well as up at the filter skids, and they've, I would have to say they're probably 75 to 80+% complete with that piping. So that's gone along very well. The contractors also formed up the chemical containment walls. The chemicals have to be contained in a certain way for prevent potential spillage. That work has gone on the past week. The mechanical contractors, I would have to say 90+% done inside. They've been working up in the attic, connecting the air handler units. And one thing we've all been waiting on, and you've probably seen as you've gone by, Greenwood Roofing has been here. We've had a good break the last 2 weeks in the weather, with the temperatures being up above 40 degrees and up above 50 degrees on a number of days. The upper roof, I'm happy to report, is at least 97% complete. We had another good day today. There's very little bit of shingles to go and 2 faces of the tower roof, and we'll have knocked that out. So we're moving along well, and the progress has been very good this past month. Does anybody have any questions?
I'll open it to the board. Does any board members have any questions?
I have none, Mr. Chairman.
No questions, looks good. Continued progress.
Quick question, so that's all that snow that really didn't push it back too much, then that's good.
Say again?
All the snow that we had, the blizzard,
It slowed us up a little bit because of the snow on the roof. We had to clear the roof a number of times to get the roofer in, but the weather helped us out in the past couple of weeks, so it didn't push us back too much. No, we're aggressively moving ahead to maintain our schedule.
The snow didn't drip bad on the roof. A lot of it, especially the sides we really wanted to concentrate on, it seemed to sheet off pretty good. We put off more than we kept it on, so we really didn't have a lot of snow on the roof.
Then we put heaters underneath to thaw it out and keep it going, so.
Do you know? I just have one question. How is everyone, the morale up there? Everyone's working together? No
It's-
problems?
Yeah, no, I'd have to say it's very good, given the nature of the project with a lot of unknowns here, and the contractors are working very well together. We're pleased with their work and their cooperation.
Excellent.
Okay, as a follow-up to that, in your packages should be a copy of payment application number 27 from the contractor,
Okay.
and I have the originals here.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion that we approve payment application number 27 if it's met with the approval of the superintendent of DPW.
Motion's been made and seconded to accept the payment order for the month of, that was December? I'm sorry.
It's payment application number
I'm
27.
sorry, payment application number 21. 27, I'm sorry. Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussions? All those in favor?
Just under discussion, I'd like
Yeah.
the superintendent to
Chris.
comment.
I did review that myself, and Steve went over that, and everything is fine on that. And I think there's about $2 million left to bill on the project, so we get still got a ways to go, but we're gaining on. I like to see that down around 200 instead of 2 million. That's
Exactly.
what I like that.
Thanks, Chris, appreciate it. Any other discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Do we have an invoice submitted by the clerk of works?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the invoice to cover the expenses of the clerk of the work.
second, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to accept the invoice submitted by the clerk of works for $4,000 for the work during January 2005. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. And we have one more here for submitted by
Storage.
Connecticut.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we accept 2 invoices here, one for the month of November, invoice number 29373V1 and 29374V1, in the amounts of $875 apiece for storage of our equipment. Excuse me, there's 3 of them. Let me amend that to 3.
And then the total amount is $2625.
You got the calculator, sir. And the other invoice being 29518V1, also in the amount of $875.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded to accept the invoices submitted by Connecticut for storage charges, total amount of $2,625 for the periods of November, December, and January. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. And the next issue with the underwear, we're going to take up under executive session on Article 3, so I guess I'll take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to go into executive session under Article 3 to discuss water.
At the end of the meeting?
Yeah.
Is
So
there a
we do at the
second?
end?
Yeah.
We're gonna go with Dan, right?
Yeah. at
So
the
we
end.
don't, do you want to withdraw that now?
Yeah,
We'll just
withdraw that
take care of
now.
it later.
Okay, we can do that.
Do you want to go, are we going into executive session now, or?
No, this is for, we're gonna do it later at the end of the meeting. We're just gonna move this part to the end of the meeting. So I guess that was Steve's
One
motion.
motion, move it
To the end of the meeting,
Make a
yeah.
motion, move it to the end of the meeting.
I'll second that.
Motion been made and seconded to move the MWRA issue to the end of the meeting for executive session. Any discussion? There
Is
being
that-
none?
Well, yeah, is that right? Is that good? Is that-
That's fine with me. I mean, I'll need to speak to that.
Okay. All right, that's all I got.
So it's up to you.
Okay.
I mean, it's not going to be like a discussion, we'll just pass it on second.
All right, well, we'll let you address the issue. I just don't want to go too much and then get into any litigation with the
You know, I think what we could do is we could go into it now.
Right.
It'll probably be a 15-minute, 20-minute executive session,
Tops.
and then we'll go back into the regular meeting.
I think we should, I agree.
Okay, you want to do that then?
Otherwise, they're going to be here for the whole
I see.
meeting,
Okay,
and
we
they're
need them.
they're
All right.
billable time.
All right.
They're expensive guys.
Good point.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion now that we go into.
No, I'm talking about Chris.
Yeah.
To my motion, make a motion that we can go into executive session under Article 3 to discuss the water issue.
I'll second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to rescind, to go out of order. All in favor? Aye. Okay, so we'll be going into executive session at Article 3. So I will entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Make a motion to go into executive session under Article 3 for
Litigation.
for MWRA.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Roll call vote to go into executive session.
Aye.
Steve? Dina? Chairman votes aye. We're going to go into executive session under Article 3 for litigation. We should be in executive session for a total of 15 minutes, and then we'll be coming out to address the rest of the meeting.